Satyama, who is the author of The Tao of Tantric Yoga, facilitates Tantric Yoga retreats here in Kopangan, Thailand, and we were recently featured in this new Vice documentary, which is being spoken about a lot on the island and in the conscious community. Mm-hmm. So, what was the process of filming like for you?
It was great, I would say. There was a lot of controversy, which is always, I think, associated with sexuality and Tantra and the intermingling of these two topics because they're not the same. But it was highly charged. Should we bring Vice to this island? And I thought yes, because it's an opportunity to have a big media exposure and be able to tell the masses what Tantra essentially truly is, or try to give this information. And I think this was actually accomplished. Vice can take something and really make a parody of it, and of course what they will do is take little snippets of what you say and then make it how they would like to bring in more clicks for them, and it's going sometimes to ears that are just in the mainstream. And what we're doing with Tantra is not mainstream whatsoever, but it can become that way, just like yoga has become something that was strange and different and hippie, and now the fruits of yoga over many thousands of years, and Tantra has thousands of years behind it also, can really be validated by the Western thinking mind. So the process of Vice coming, although people were like, oh, is this a good idea? Oh, I will be in it. Oh, I will not be in it. I feel it's a great thing for Tantra itself to expose people to what it can do.
Because when I watched it, I felt like, seeing you as my teacher, I said, oh, I'm so grateful that, I felt that you were portrayed in the way that I know you, which is, doing everything really in a sacred way and also very safe. I felt that, any snippets that you were in was, you seemed very grounded. And I've heard that perhaps this wasn't the case, some people don't feel that this was the case for each teacher that was featured. So yes, do you want to speak on that? Or?
I would say, Vice can come in and say, okay, who does yoni massage, and can you tell us what other people are doing? And so the topics are enormous here on an island that is a place where freedom exists quite deeply, yet there's no accountability. So basically you can do whatever human beings, and human beings are vast. When they come on holiday, they do things that they would not normally do. And so this is what this island is known for: sex, surf, and debauchery. And I think they know this, and we use a doorway into something that is about sexuality to show it as Tantra, but Tantra is not sexuality, so it's much more of a divine sense. But they would take something like Shibari, for example, and be like, oh, now I'm in a Shibari tie me up workshop, and this is Tantra, when it's not. Or take the jade egg practice and say, this is Tantra. Jade egg is very healing and can be perceived as something that would be very funny. Why do I put a jade egg in my yoni, for example? But it does have healing properties to it. So I would say it goes in the realm of Tantra, but again, putting a jade egg up your yoni is not Tantra. Tantra essentially is meditation. That's the Tantra. Tantra is also yoga. And so I would say my part was trying to give the perspective of yoga to it. There was one very short scene of let's do a pose, and Tyr couldn't do the pose for that long, but you couldn't even see that was a yoga practice. But then on the other hand, you would see somebody just gyrating with someone and giving them a tantric session, which I would say that would be a gyrating session or a session to awaken senses or whipping, whatever it might be. It can awaken senses and bring out what is very much hidden and closed in people, but that's why people go on holiday to experience the freedom of that. That's why people drink, that's why people take drugs. These are all things that they want to be free to do because they're being human. What we are trying to do is take all of those things, such as substances, out, then bring the consciousness in. When you're meditative, when you're doing yoga, you're doing something with an intention, and hopefully that intention is purified through the process of yoga, and then you're getting into a tantric state once you do come into unification with another person or with the divine. So this is a very hard thing to talk about to the masses and to understand, but that was kind of the direction that we spoke.
And like just on Facebook or in the comment sections of different chats, there is a lot of I guess like parody or people making fun of, and I don't know how many of these people have actually even been on the island or done any of these practices. So why do you think, I mean, people are trolls in general, right? A lot of times, but why do you think people are speaking on what they don't know or making fun?
I would say that this is the human condition. When we don't know something, we are insecure about it, and then the automatic response can be that we make a parody out of it to feel okay within ourselves in that we don't know or that we are ignorant. And so we put something or someone down in order to put ourselves up and to come into consciousness of this, to just catch this when we are doing it. And I work on this myself all the time. If it's something negative or if I'm making fun of someone or even criticizing, I'm like, catch it and be acceptance. And that's part of the yogic path as well. It's just Tantra, accept it, be content with what is, but also be aware, and to be aware of what energy you draw in and what you resonate as, because that will be reflected back to you, and also what you're putting out. So what I tried to do to put out was make sure my intention of bringing Vice here is for healing, that's the element of Tantra which is healing, but then it goes deeper than that, it goes into Tantric practices. But sure, I think people will make fun of something as they make fun of everything in the world until we have a direct experience that we say, and then we're really learning. It's something very profound and divine. It's like you almost gulp at yourself because you made fun of it before, and then it shows you something that you were doing, and it's almost like a divine light bulb goes off. And that's what happens in a yoga class, in a Tantra retreat, hopefully that I would have a perspective or a kind of a hold on, and this can happen in various ways when the intention is clear and set. Yeah.
Do you think that people, after seeing this Vice documentary, are going to flood more to the island, like wanting to do some kind of healing thing? And if they do, like where would you guide them to? I mean, I know you have retreats coming up.
Well, of course, I would say come to a Tantric Yoga intensive. I have one in February that starts on the 10th. But I would also invite in people to the island. I mean, already there was a worry from the expats and the people that live here. What if the whole world now comes to our secret island? I mean, Koh Phangan is not a secret island. Even in the last month or two, it has exploded with people that have money, that want to have a holiday, and these are not necessarily the people that were coming even 5 years ago to learn something about themselves, or the hippies. I mean, at least hippies try things to grow and don't have a way of buying something to get something. So in a divine state, we're never going to be able to exchange something with money into love, for example. But Tantra can teach you that in a communal setting. If you come to a retreat that I'm doing, it's like we have a community, and that community will teach you everything you need to know about you in the bigger sphere of the world. You can also go easily to lots and lots of workshops and still be learning something about yourself, and that is fine also. But I would still say the main foundation of what we, or what I try to give out, is that meditation needs to be the base, and from that we can grow. If you just go, I want to learn Tantra, and have no meditation base, no yogic base, you'll simply go into a samsara wheel of here's my pattern in sexuality or in relating, and what really harms me, because sexuality does have a lot of humans' deepest wounds to it, and you'll just keep going through that without being able to finally break that pattern that we might go in, and stop it yourself, and to own that. Like, it must be done by you. It can't necessarily be done by a healer, which is shown many times on this documentary. I'm a healer and we'll do something with breath or tying you up or whatever it is. That healer always is you, because you take control of your life and your decisions. And so that's what I try to put into the work that I do. And it needs to be a little bit longer. I mean, life is a very long path, and these things that I do as intensives are 7 days, but that somehow gives you a little foundation and a container, and that community still grows. And so these people in these retreats, like you, stay connected to each other and then continue to grow, because it's not like you come to a sacred island and you're going to heal this thing that has probably gone on for generations. Even to have that awareness that that wound has gone on for generations, and you take it in from your grandparents and ancestors and parents, even that needs to come to the surface through meditation. Even that is not known by the masses. And so when we look at it, and then I look at people like you that are really growing through this work, then I know that it's doing something really good for a few people that have direct experience.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you also what your growth pattern was, or experience has been through doing one of these retreats at first, and then now, like, how has Brianna become more conscious or tantric, or what has gone on basically in your life?
I mean, definitely. So the first time I was 22.
Age.
Yeah, I was 22 years old, and I think not necessarily shy, because I've never been shy, but just not confident. Like, you can be not confident and not shy at the same time, or shy at the same time. It's just like, sexually, I still was dealing with this issue. I don't know what it is. This situation of anorgasmia, and I'm still 6 years later dealing with it. I think that was one of the main reasons I was interested in the retreat, just like hearing about yoni massage and things like that, and kind of taking out blockages in that area. However, even though this is something that I'm still, I don't even want to say suffering, but perhaps, suffering a little bit with, so many other elements of my life have kind of become a lot easier. Just like, confidence, just like awareness of myself, and like being able to speak up. Like, I think in the first time doing the retreat, perhaps talking about some traumas, I would still cry, when sharing about it. And now I don't know, it's just like, and a lot of the other people that came on the retreat would say that, like, oh, Brie, you're such an open book, and like, it's pretty easy for me to share some of these things, or even to gaze into somebody's eyes, right? Like, maybe a few years ago might be uncomfortable, but now it's just like, it's an honor, it's quite normal. So I think mainly this, like, and the other thing too, like, dealing with boundaries. Boundaries are huge. Setting my desires. I think when I say that I was shy, it was like I was insecure to state my desires, and really weak boundaries, just kind of wanting to be pleasing everybody else and not putting myself first. So, when we talk about self-love, like, it really is like, Tantra leads you to that, and the exercises you do in the retreat definitely kind of like our kickstart to, like, when I went home, I'm still thinking of like, oh, well, I had that really profound moment. If I just go back to doing things the way that I used to do, then this profound sacred moment, I'm just kind of, I don't know. It was really important for me to continue trying to remember how I felt in that 1 week, and then stick to the things that I learned. So So that's how you're saying, like, you know, it's not just this 1 week thing, but it is a kickstart to it if you've never been exposed to any of it. And then even people like this last time that we did the retreat, it was pretty like a tantrically mature group, I guess you could say. Like, people had experience, and even then you still get something out of it. I mean, this is going to be my 4th time doing it, and you know, I was mentioning how, like, maybe this last time didn't feel as maybe powerful, but it still was powerful, just in a different way. You know, I still receive certain downloads of, like, the trajectory of what my life might be, or how I want to start moving different, or, you know, so I think that's great. I think, you know, work you do is awesome. And safe, like, that's the biggest thing. Because that was such a big part of the Vice documentary, is, like, how this island can be very unsafe. And luckily, under, you know, your wing and any of it, like, the schools that I've been to, like, I've never felt that personally. Not to discredit people that might have, but luckily, like, in your, you know, retreats, I've always felt super safe. And, like, you know, whatever you want to do, you do, and if you don't want to, you don't, and it's okay. You know, that was a big part of it, which I wish they would have mentioned a bit more of in the documentary. But obviously, as a journalism, I know too, like, as a journalist, a video journalist, even, you only have so much time, so you can only put so much in. And then the part about clickbait.
Yeah, and I would say, I think Vice did not a bad job. I said, make sure there's something about boundaries, and they really put that in there. And the thing that's behind boundaries are, first of all, to be clear on yourself and to know what you want, and then to be confident in yourself, and especially, I would say, as a woman, we need to work on this part of our bodies and here. To be like, what is it now? And if it doesn't feel right, is say no. And if it does feel right but not quite, say how it can be, so that we are essentially training each other on the fact that talking in an intense situation is okay, such as in sexuality, and that then the patriarchy can slightly be turned around, and that you know, women don't have to act small, that they can be powerful beings, they can be sexual beings, they are respected beings, and this can really go into this meeting point of, for me, this is what Tantra is meant to be going towards, is to be, what is the big, huge picture of love. And it's not even that it's a picture, it's just love is everywhere. Can we come to that point for our sexuality? I mean, this is a deep yearning of mine as union. That's yoga, that's meditation, that's you in enlightenment, and that's your contact with the universe. That's what I really can go for, and that a documentary like Vice cannot necessarily portray.
Yeah.
But that is the intent.
But you feel a little bit of that at the retreats. You get to experience it. So yeah, so the next one is February 10th until the 16th.
Yeah, in Copenhagen. You can contact me at info@openofbliss.com or through Instagram or Facebook. And we have an integration day also on the 17th, which keeps the community going and really sees where we want to take things from there. And I would suggest, like, at least 2 weeks of integration after a very intensive time that looks at our deepest stuff to do that. But yeah, we still have spaces, and you're very warmly welcome to join us.
And the book.
And the book, you can get it on Amazon, The Tao of Tantric Yoga.
Thanks, Satyama.
Thank you.